couple of minutes, drive himself in the same car we saw him going to the training ground. You can see him there, sunglasses on, his family alongside him as well as he goes through.
Arsenal transfer news, Julian Alvarez and Victor Osimhen. Latest updates, Arsenal continue to attract major attention as the summer transfer window enters its final stages. Two of the biggest names currently being linked with the Gunners are Atletico Madrid forward Julian Alvarez and Galatasaray striker Victor Osimhen. Both players have been surrounded by intense transfer speculation, but it is important to separate confirmed information from reports and rumours. At the moment, neither player has completed a transfer to Arsenal. Julian Alvarez, Arsenal still in the picture. Julian Alvarez's future has become one of the biggest transfer stories in European football. The Argentine forward is currently an Atletico Madrid player, but his future has been questioned amid interest from both Arsenal and Barcelona. Reports from The Guardian on August 18th say Atletico Madrid would prefer Alvarez to join Arsenal rather than Barcelona if the club eventually decides to sell him. The reason is straightforward. Atletico would reportedly rather avoid strengthening a direct La Liga rival such as Barcelona. However, this does not mean that Alvarez is on his way to Arsenal. In fact, Atletico Madrid have continued to send strong signals that they do not want to lose the striker. Atletico CEO Miguel Ángel Gil Marín has reportedly maintained a very firm position on the player's future, while manager Diego Simeone has also spoken about the situation. Reuters reported on August 18th that Simeone confirmed Alvarez would not be involved in Atletico's opening La Liga match against Malaga because of the ongoing situation. The report also says Alvarez has expressed a desire to join Barcelona, describing the move as a dream. That makes the situation particularly complicated. Arsenal may be an attractive destination for Atletico because the London club is outside Spain. From Atletico's perspective, selling to Arsenal could be preferable to allowing Alvarez to strengthen Barcelona. There are also reports that Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta has personally contacted Alvarez as Arsenal attempt to convince him to move to North London. If Arsenal can convince the player and reach an agreement with Atletico, this could become one of the biggest transfers of the summer. But for now, Arsenal fans should be careful with claims that Alvarez has already agreed to join the club. There is currently no confirmed Arsenal announcement completing the transfer. Victor Osimhen, Arsenal interest continues. Victor Osimhen is another major striker being linked with Arsenal. The Nigerian forward is currently with Galatasaray, and reports have indicated that Arsenal remain interested in bringing him back to the Premier League. The situation is complicated because Galatasaray have shown that they do not want to lose their star striker easily. According to reports, Saudi Arabian club Al Hilal made a major offer for Osimhen, reportedly worth around €130 million, but Galatasaray rejected the proposal. Football 365 reported that Galatasaray president Dursun Özbek has taken an extremely firm position, saying the club does not want to sell Osimhen regardless of the price. This is extremely important for Arsenal. Even if Arsenal are prepared to make a serious offer, they would still need to convince Galatasaray to sell one of their most important players. At the same time, Arsenal's interest does not appear to have completely disappeared. Reports on August 18th continue to connect the Gunners with Osimhen, while other Premier League clubs have also been mentioned in the race. There have even been reports suggesting that Arsenal have opened discussions with Galatasaray regarding a possible deal. However, these reports should still be treated as transfer information rather than confirmation of a completed agreement. Osimhen would obviously be a major attacking option for Arsenal. His goal-scoring record, physical strength, speed and experience would give Mikel Arteta another powerful option in attack. But the biggest obstacle is Galatasaray's position. Arsenal could face two difficult negotiations. The Alvarez and Osimhen situations are different, but they have one thing in common. Arsenal would have to overcome significant obstacles to sign either player. With Alvarez, Arsenal have to deal with Atletico Madrid's reluctance to sell and the player's reported interest in Barcelona. With Osimhen, Arsenal have to deal with Galatasaray's determination to keep their striker, especially after the Turkish club reportedly rejected a huge Al Hilal proposal. This means Arsenal fans should not interpret the latest reports as confirmation that either player is joining the club. Instead, the correct description is that both players remain connected with Arsenal, but negotiations and circumstances are still complicated. What could happen next? The final stages of the transfer window could be extremely important. For Alvarez, Arsenal may attempt to push forward with their interest if Atletico Madrid become more open to a sale. Arteta's reported direct contact with the player could also be significant if Arsenal are trying to convince him that the Emirates is the right destination. For Osimhen, Arsenal would need to make a proposal capable of changing Galatasaray's position. However, the Turkish club's previous rejection of a major Al Hilal offer shows just how difficult that could be. Therefore, Arsenal supporters should expect plenty of headlines in the coming days, but they should also wait for reliable confirmation before considering either transfer completed. Final verdict, Julian Alvarez remains one of Arsenal's biggest attacking targets, with reports suggesting Atletico Madrid could prefer Arsenal over Barcelona if they decide to sell him. Nevertheless, Atletico's public position remains strong and there is currently no completed Arsenal deal. Victor Osimhen is also still being linked with Arsenal. Galatasaray have reportedly rejected a huge offer from Al Hilal, demonstrating their determination to keep the Nigerian striker. Arsenal's interest remains part of the story, but a transfer is far from guaranteed. For now, Alvarez to Arsenal and Osimhen to Arsenal should both be described as transfer possibilities, not confirmed transfers. The next few days could determine whether Arsenal turn either of these major rumours into a real deal. Arsenal's striker transfer battle, Alvarez versus Osimhen. Arsenal's search for attacking reinforcements has entered a very interesting stage. The Gunners are being strongly linked with Julian Alvarez and Victor Osimhen. But the two situations are developing in very different ways. Julian Alvarez, Arsenal make another push. Arsenal are reportedly making another serious attempt to sign Julian Alvarez from Atletico Madrid. Reports say Mikel Arteta has personally contacted the Argentine striker in an effort to convince him that the Emirates Stadium should be his next destination. Goal +1. However, there is a major problem. Alvarez reportedly prefers a move to Barcelona. The Argentine has even described Barcelona as a dream destination, while Atletico Madrid have repeatedly insisted that they do not want to sell him. Reuters reported that Atletico coach Diego Simeone confirmed Alvarez would be left out of the squad for the opening La Liga match against Malaga amid the transfer situation. Reuters: this creates an extraordinary situation. Arsenal may be the club Atletico would prefer to negotiate with because selling Alvarez to Arsenal would avoid strengthening Barcelona, a direct Spanish rival. The Guardian reported that Atletico would rather see the striker move to Arsenal than Barcelona if they eventually decide to sell. The Guardian. But Atletico's position remains the biggest obstacle. According to reports, the club has rejected major approaches for the striker in the past and continues to insist that he is not for sale. That means Arsenal could have to convince both Atletico Madrid and Alvarez before this transfer can happen. Football transfers. Arteta's personal involvement. One of the most interesting developments is Mikel Arteta's reported direct contact with Alvarez. According to Goal, Arteta personally called the Argentine as Arsenal attempt a final push for his signature. The report says Arsenal consider Alvarez a major attacking target and are trying to persuade him to choose North London rather than Barcelona. Goal. This could be important because Arsenal need the player to genuinely want the move. Even if Atletico prefer Arsenal over Barcelona, a transfer becomes much more difficult if Alvarez himself remains determined to join Barcelona. So Arsenal's strategy appears clear. Convince the player first, then try to find a solution with Atletico Madrid. But there is still no confirmed agreement. Victor Osimhen, Arsenal's alternative target. If Arsenal fail to sign Alvarez, Victor Osimhen could become an increasingly important option. The Nigerian striker is still being linked with Arsenal, and reports suggest that discussions surrounding a possible move to North London have continued. Football London reported today that a potential pathway for Osimhen to Arsenal has emerged following developments involving Galatasaray. Football London Osimhen would give Arsenal a very different profile in attack. His pace, strength, movement inside the penalty area and ability to attack crosses could make him an attractive option for Arteta. Arsenal already have Victor Gyökeres, but adding Osimhen would give the manager another elite-level striker option. The biggest question is whether Galatasaray are willing to let him leave. Galatasaray hold a strong position. Galatasaray have shown that they are not under pressure to sell Osimhen. The club reportedly rejected a huge offer from Al Hilal, demonstrating that money alone may not be enough to convince them to part with their striker. That makes Arsenal's task extremely difficult.